3 months had passed since the battle that changed everything. Earth looked different now, not physically, but in purpose. The planet that had once hidden in the darkness was now preparing to step into the light. Admiral Taeyang stood in what had become known as the Gallery of Warnings. It was a section of space near the moon where the captured alien vessels had been towed and preserved. 5 fleets worth of ships, hundreds of vessels ranging from small fighters to massive battleships, all dark and silent. They were kept as evidence, as reminders, as warnings to anyone who might think Earth was weak. Beyond them, visible in the distance, were the frozen ships. The 2 fleets caught in the reality anchor's effect still hung in space exactly as they had been at the moment of their defeat. They had become something like a monument, though no one was sure whether it was a monument to human strength or human ruthlessness. "We're getting requests from 17 different civilizations asking to visit the gallery," Lieutenant Jiwon reported. She had been promoted after the battle, now serving directly under Taeyang. "They want to see the ships with their own eyes. They don't believe the footage we sent out." "Let them come," Taeyang said, "but in small groups. Controlled visits. We want them to see, but we don't want them getting too close to our technology." Dr. Minji was working in a laboratory complex that had been built specifically for studying alien technology. She had teams of scientists working around the clock, taking apart the captured ships piece by piece and learning everything they could. The progress had been incredible. In just 3 months, humanity had jumped forward by decades in technological development. "We've mastered their faster-than-light drive," she told Taeyang during one of his visits. "It's actually simpler than ours in some ways. We can start building ships with it next month. And the weapons? Some are useless to us, too energy-intensive or too specialized, but others are brilliant. We're integrating their shield technology with ours. The combination is stronger than either system alone. How long until we can build our own fleet using the new technology?" Minji considered this. 6 months for the first ships. A year for a proper fleet. Why? Are you planning something? Taeyang smiled slightly. "The galaxy sent 7 fleets to attack us. I think it's time we paid them a visit. Let them see what humanity looks like when we're not on defense." Captain Hyunwoo had recovered from his injuries, though his old ship had been destroyed. He now commanded one of the new vessels being built, a hybrid design that combined human and alien technology. He was training crews for Earth's first interstellar fleet, the force that would carry humanity beyond the solar system. "These ships are incredible," he told his trainees during one session. "Faster, stronger, better than anything humanity has built before. But remember, ships are just tools. It's the people inside them that matter. You're going to be the first humans to travel to other star systems as warriors, not explorers. That's a big responsibility." One of the trainees, a young woman named Hana, raised her hand. "Sir, are we really going to attack other civilizations? Even if they weren't part of the fleets that came here?" "We're not planning to attack anyone," Hyunwoo replied. "But we are going to make sure everyone knows what happens if they threaten Earth. Sometimes, the best way to prevent a war is to show that you can win." 1. Commander Daehyun had spent the months since the battle interrogating the captured alien commanders. He had learned a lot about galactic politics, about the complex web of alliances and rivalries that governed how civilizations interacted. What he learned was not comforting. "The galaxy is more dangerous than we thought," he reported to Taeyang. These 7 fleets weren't acting alone. They were hired by a coalition of species that see humanity as a threat. "Our technological development has scared them." "Why would our development scare them?" Taeyang asked. "Because we did it alone. Most species join the galactic community early in their development. They trade technology, share knowledge, become dependent on each other. But humanity developed in isolation. We created our own solutions to problems. That independence makes us unpredictable, so they tried to eliminate us before we became too strong." "Exactly, and we proved that we're already stronger than they thought." Engineer Youngsu had made the discovery of a lifetime in the computer systems of one of the captured flagships. He found detailed maps of local space, showing not just star systems but the locations of civilizations, trade routes, military installations, and hidden bases. "This is incredible," he told Dr. Minji. "We know more about this region of the galaxy than most of the species living here. They've been sharing this information for centuries. Now we have it all. Can we use it?" "Absolutely. We can identify which civilizations are threats, which are potential allies, and which are just trying to survive like we were. This is going to change everything." The diplomatic situation was complex. Ambassador Hajun had been appointed as Earth's first official envoy to the galactic community. He was 43 years old, calm and thoughtful, chosen because of his ability to see multiple perspectives and find common ground even in difficult situations. The problem, Hajun explained to Taiyang, is that we terrified everyone. The footage we sent out showing the battle worked too well. Now every species in the sector is afraid of us. Some are talking about forming alliances to counter the human threat. We are a threat, Taiyang said, but only to those who threaten us first. Can you make that clear? I'm trying, but fear is hard to overcome with words. We need to show them through actions that we're not planning to conquer the galaxy. Then we'll do that, but we'll also show them that we can't be conquered either. General Nari was planning humanity's expansion into the stars. She was 55, with a strategic mind that could see patterns and possibilities that others missed. She had been given command of Earth's military expansion, tasked with establishing human presence in nearby star systems. We have 6 systems identified for colonization, she reported. All of them uninhabited, all of them resource-rich. We can establish bases there within a year. Will other species object? Taiyang asked, probably. Some of these systems are near-established civilizations. They might see our expansion as aggression, then we'll negotiate. But we'll also make clear that humanity is expanding regardless. The age of Earth hiding in the dark is over. Dr. Yuna led a team studying the frozen ships. She was 36, specializing in temporal physics, trying to understand exactly what the reality anchor had done to space-time. The effect is permanent, she explained to anyone who would listen. Those ships exist in a single moment that will never end. From their perspective, no time is passing at all. They're not experiencing anything. They're just frozen. Can we ever reverse it? Someone asked. Theoretically, maybe, but it would require technology far beyond what we have now, and the risk would be enormous. We might make things worse instead of better. The frozen ships became a source of debate. Some people argued they should be studied, that the crews inside deserved a chance at rescue. Others said they should remain as they were, a permanent warning to anyone who threatened Earth. Taiyang made the final decision. They stay frozen. Not as punishment, but as reminder. Those ships represent the moment humanity stopped being prey and became predator. We can't forget that moment. 6 months after the battle, Earth launched its first interstellar colony mission. 3 ships carrying 10,000 colonists departed for a star system 30 light-years away. It was a small beginning, but it marked humanity's official emergence into the greater galaxy. Taiyang watched the ships depart from the observation deck of the Lunar Command Center. Lieutenant Jiwan stood beside him. Are you worried? She asked. About what comes next? Always, Taiyang admitted. We've shown the galaxy that we're strong, but strength attracts challenges. There will be others who want to test us, to see if the stories they've heard are true. And when they come, we'll be ready. Just like we were this time. The captured alien commanders were eventually given a choice. They could remain as prisoners on Earth, living in comfortable but restricted conditions. Or they could return to their home worlds as ambassadors, carrying Earth's message directly to their leaders. Most chose to return home. They had seen Earth's capabilities firsthand. They understood what humanity could do if threatened. Better to carry that message themselves than to let their species learn it through another failed attack. One alien commander, before departing, spoke to Admiral Taiyang through a translator. I came here believing humans were primitive, the alien said. I was wrong. But I want you to know something. You won this battle, but you've also started something that can't be stopped. The galaxy knows about you now. Some will fear you, some will hate you, some will want to ally with you, but none will ever underestimate you again. That's exactly what we wanted, Taiyang replied. The alien nodded slowly. Be careful what you wish for. Being known as the most dangerous species in the galaxy is a heavy burden. It means you'll never have peace. There will always be someone trying to prove they're stronger. Then we'll prove them wrong. Every time. A year after the battle, Earth's transformation was complete. The planet was no longer hiding. Human ships traveled openly through nearby space. Admiral Bowman received the orders in his orbital command station above Earth's North Pole. He was 61 years old, his face weathered by years of stress and responsibility. He had spent the last decade overseeing the construction of humanity's most dangerous weapon, a device that should never have been possible according to the laws of physics that the galaxy understood. Confirm orders received. Bowman said into his communications link. Activating reality anchor protocols. Bringing Dr. Sunho to the bridge. Dr. Sunho arrived moments later, moving quickly despite his 70 years. He was the oldest member of Earth's defense team, a temporal physicist who had dedicated his life to understanding how time itself could be manipulated. His hands shook slightly as he moved to his station, not from fear but from age and excitement. Are we really doing this? Sunho asked. The simulation showed extreme risk. We could damage space-time permanently. The alternative is letting those fleets reach Earth, Bowman replied. Admiral Taeyang has made his decision. Our job is to make it work. The reality anchor was housed in a station that orbited between Earth and the Moon. It looked like a simple research facility from the outside, but inside it held technology that bent the fundamental rules of the universe. It could freeze a region of space and time, locking everything within that region into a single eternal moment. Captain Hyunwoo watched the two alien fleets make their final approach. They had lost their weapons, lost their ability to hurt Earth, but they had not lost their determination. They were going to ram their ships directly into Earth, hoping to cause damage through simple kinetic impact. All fighters, form up on me, Hyunwoo ordered. We're going in to get targeting data for the anchor. We need exact positions on every ship. His small fleet accelerated toward the alien vessels. They moved between the massive ships like insects among giants, their scanners recording every detail. Positions, velocities, shield frequencies, structural weak points. All of this data flowed back to Admiral Bowman's station. One alien ship tried to swat Hyunwoo's fighter with a defensive laser. The beam missed by meters, but it was close enough that Hyunwoo felt the heat through his cockpit window. Getting too close, his co-pilot warned. That's the job, Hyunwoo replied. He pushed his ship even closer, near enough to see through the windows of the alien vessel. Inside, he could see crew members moving frantically, trying desperately to restore their weapons. They looked terrified. For a moment, Hyunwoo felt sympathy for them. They had come here following orders, believing they were doing the right thing. Now they were about to die for someone else's lie. Then he remembered Ambassador Sora, killed in the crossfire when she had tried to talk. He remembered that these fleets had come to conquer, to take, to destroy if necessary. His sympathy faded. Data package complete, he reported. All ships are tagged and tracked. Pulling back now. Lieutenant Jiwon, back in the Pacific Command Center, made a discovery that changed everything. She had been analyzing the alien ships when she noticed something in the detailed scans. Sir, she said to Admiral Taeyang, I'm seeing life signs on some of these ships that don't match the crew profiles. Smaller beings, multiple generations. I think there are families aboard, civilians. Taeyang moved to her station and looked at the data. She was right. Some of the alien vessels were not just warships. They were colony ships carrying entire communities. The warriors in these cultures traveled with their families, bringing them along on military campaigns. How many civilians? Taeyang asked quietly. Thousands, sir. Maybe tens of thousands across both fleets. Taeyang closed his eyes for a moment. This complicated everything. He could not simply destroy these ships now, not knowing that children were aboard, but he also could not let them reach Earth. There were billions of human lives at stake. Get me Engineer Young-soo, Taeyang said. I need a solution that doesn't involve killing civilians. Young-soo was brought into the communication link. He listened to the problem and immediately began working on solutions. I can modify the neural disruptor, he said, speaking fast. Make it more precise. Target only the sections of the ships where warriors are located. Leave the civilian areas conscious. Then boarding teams can go in and secure the civilians separately. How long will that take? Taeyang asked. Hours, maybe days to implement properly. We don't have days. The fleets will reach Earth in 20 minutes. Young-soo was silent, thinking. Then he had another idea. What if we don't destroy them? What if we just stop them? Explain. The reality anchor. We were planning to use it to freeze the ships in time. But what if we freeze them at the moment they're farthest from Earth? They'd be trapped but safe. No one would die. We'd have time to figure out what to do with the civilians. Dr. Minji ran calculations. It could work. But it would require perfect timing. And the temporal damage would be permanent. That region of space would be locked in time forever. Can we do it without hitting our own ships? Taeyang asked. If Captain Hyunwoo and his team get clear in time, yes. Taeyang made his decision. Do it. Hyunwoo, you have 15 minutes to get your ships out of the target zone. Move now. Hyunwoo acknowledged and began pulling his fighters back. But as he moved away from the alien fleets, one of his pilots ran into trouble. The ship, flown by a young pilot named Kira, developed engine problems. She was falling behind, unable to keep up with the rest of the group. "Captain, I've got a power failure," Kira reported. "I can't maintain speed. Shut down non-essential systems. Reroute everything to engines." "Already did that. It's not enough. I'm going to be in the target zone when the anchor activates." Hyunwoo calculated the numbers in his head. If he went back for Kira, he might not have time to get clear himself. If he left her, she would be frozen in time with the alien fleets. He did not hesitate. "I'm coming back for you. Hold position." His co-pilot grabbed his arm. "Captain, we can't. We'll both be caught." "Then we'll both be caught. I'm not leaving anyone behind." Hyunwoo turned his ship around and accelerated back toward Kira. He reached her position and used a tractor beam to lock onto her damaged fighter. Then he pulled, using his engines to drag both ships away from the alien fleets. The strain was enormous. His engines were not designed to pull two ships at once. Alarms screamed in his cockpit as systems overheated, but he kept going, pushing his ship beyond its limits. 10 seconds until anchor activation, Admiral Bauman's voice said over the communications link. Hyunwoo watched his velocity meter. They were not going to make it. They were still inside the target zone. 5 seconds, he pushed his engines even harder. Something exploded in the rear of his ship, but he was still moving, activating now. The reality anchor came online. Dr. Sunho watched the readings with horror and wonder as his life's work became terrible reality. The device sent out a wave that moved faster than light itself, a wave that touched space-time and locked it in place. The two alien fleets simply stopped. Their ships froze in mid-flight, every atom locked in a single eternal moment. They became statues in space, monuments to their own aggression. Inside those ships, crew members were frozen in the middle of actions they would never complete. Civilians were frozen in the middle of lives they would never finish living. Hyunwoo's ship was caught in the edge of the effect. The rear half of his fighter froze, locked in time, but the front half, where he and his co-pilot sat, remained in normal space. The ship tore itself in half, the frozen part unable to move forward while the active part continued on momentum. Warning lights filled the cockpit. Life support was failing. They were venting atmosphere, but they were alive and moving away from the frozen zone. "This is Hyunwoo," he reported, his voice calm despite everything. "We made it out. Ship is damaged but functional. Kira is safe." In the command center, Taeyang allowed himself one moment of relief. Then he returned to the situation at hand. The battle was over. 7 alien fleets had come to conquer Earth. 5 were captured, their crews imprisoned and their technology being studied. 2 were frozen in time, trapped forever at the moment of their defeat. But the cost had been real. Sora was dead. Several defense platforms had been damaged. The region of space where the reality anchor had activated was permanently changed, locked in a temporal state that would never return to normal. And according to the intelligence Young-soo had found, more fleets were coming. Whoever had orchestrated this attack was not finished. Dr. Minji approached Taeyang. "We won," she said. "But this is just the beginning, isn't it?" "Yes," Taeyang replied. "This was a test, we passed. But the real war is still coming." He looked at the tactical display, at the frozen ships hanging in space like terrible warnings, at the captured vessels being towed toward lunar shipyards, at the massive amount of alien technology now in human hands. But now we have their ships. We have their technology. We have their knowledge of the galaxy. And most importantly, we've shown them what happens when you threaten humanity. Taeyang turned to address everyone in the command center. "Get me a communication link to every major civilization within 100 light years. It's time they knew what Earth really is. It's time they understood that we're not prey. We're not victims. We're the species that ended 7 fleets in 3 days. The battle had ended, but Earth's message to the galaxy was just beginning." The 2 remaining alien fleets moved through space like sharks circling prey. They had formed an alliance born of desperation. 2 warrior cultures that had never spoken before, now united by the simple need to survive. Their ships formed a tight formation, shields overlapping to create layers of protection that they hoped might keep them alive. They were moving toward Earth, but slowly now. They had seen what happened to the other fleets. They had watched ships more powerful than their own fall silent in moments. Fear had replaced their earlier confidence, but these were not species that surrendered. Their cultures measured worth by how well you fought, not by whether you won. Commander Daehyun stood in the hangar bay of one of Earth's lunar bases, watching his boarding teams prepare. He was 45 years old, built like a block of stone, with a face that showed every year he had spent in combat training. His teams were the best humanity had to offer, trained for years in capturing alien vessels intact. "Listen up," he said to the assembled soldiers. "We've disabled 5 fleets already. Now we get to go inside those ships and secure them. Remember, we want the crews alive. We want their technology intact. We want their data cores untouched. You see something you don't understand, you don't touch it. You call Engineer Young-soo and let him figure it out." Engineer Young-soo stood nearby, looking less like a soldier and more like someone who spent his life in laboratories. He was 32, thin and nervous, but brilliant with alien technology. He could look at something he had never seen before and understand how it worked within minutes. "I've prepared analysis tools for each team," Young-soo said, his voice quiet. "When you secure a ship, use these scanners. They'll identify the most valuable technology automatically. Mark those items for careful extraction." Sergeant Yoonji checked her equipment one last time. She was 28, fast and precise, with a reputation for completing impossible missions. She had been chosen to lead the team that would board the alien flagships, the most dangerous assignment of all. "Sir," she said to Daehyun, "what if they resist?" "Then you do what you need to do," Daehyun replied. "But remember, prisoners are more valuable than corpses. We need information. We need to understand who sent them here and who else might come." The boarding shuttles launched, dozens of them, heading toward the disabled alien fleets. The ships were dark and quiet, drifting in space like dead things. But inside them, crew members were beginning to wake up from the neural disruptor effect. They were confused, disoriented, and about to become prisoners. Yoonji's shuttle attached to the hull of an alien flagship with a magnetic clamp. Cutting tools activated, slicing through the outer hull with focused plasma. Her team moved through the breach in perfect formation, weapons ready but not firing. Inside, they found chaos. The alien crew was awake but barely functional. They stumbled through corridors trying to understand what had happened. Some reached for weapons. Others simply stared at the human soldiers with expressions of confusion and fear. "Secure all personnel," Yoonji ordered. Her team moved with practiced efficiency, using stun weapons to knock out any aliens who showed resistance. Within 20 minutes, they had control of the ship's bridge. The alien commander was there, a large creature with too many arms and eyes that looked like dark pools. It spoke in a language Yoonji did not understand, but her translator rendered the words clearly enough. "What are you?" the alien asked. "What kind of species are you?" Yoonji did not answer. She had her orders. She activated a beacon that would bring Young-soo and his technical team to this location. Then she moved on to the next ship. All across the captured fleets, this same scene repeated. Human teams were taking control of alien vessels, securing crews, marking technology for analysis. It was happening fast and clean, with minimal casualties on both sides. Captain Hyunwoo, still in his ship near Jupiter, watched the boarding operations proceed. His role was to provide support if anything went wrong, but so far everything was going according to plan. Too well, maybe. He found himself waiting for the other shoe to drop. "Captain," his co-pilot said, "we're receiving a transmission from one of the captured fleets. They want to negotiate. Negotiate what? They already surrendered. They're offering information. They say they'll tell us who hired them to attack Earth, who planted the rumor about the artifacts. They want freedom in exchange." Hyunwoo thought about this. Information was valuable. But letting these ships go would send the wrong message to the galaxy. It would suggest that Earth could be bargained with, that there were prices that could be paid for forgiveness. "Forward the message to Admiral Tae-yang," Hyunwoo said. "Let him decide." In the command center beneath the Pacific, Tae-yang listened to the alien offer. He was tempted. He wanted to know who had orchestrated this attack, who had painted a target on Earth. But he also understood that this moment was about more than just winning a battle. This was about establishing humanity's position in the galaxy for generations to come. "Tell them no," Tae-yang said. "Tell them they're prisoners now. Tell them they'll be treated fairly and given everything they need to survive. But they're not leaving the solar system. Not now, not ever." Dr. Minji watched the tactical display. focusing on the two fleets that were still active and approaching Earth. They were moving carefully, using every scanning technique they had to try to identify Earth's weapons before those weapons could strike. "They're learning," she said. "They've figured out some of our capabilities. Look at their formation. They're spacing their ships to minimize damage from our gravity weapons. They're rotating shield frequencies to try to find a gap in our disruptors. Will it work?" Taiyang asked. "No," Minji said simply. "But it shows they're smart. Dangerous." The alien fleets launched probes ahead of them, small automated vessels designed to trigger any traps that might be waiting. The probes moved toward Earth's defensive platforms, approaching carefully. Taiyang watched them come. "Let them scan. Let them see what we have. It won't help them." The probes reached the outer defensive platforms and began their scans. Data flowed back to the alien fleets, massive amounts of information about Earth's weapons and defenses. The alien commanders analyzed everything, looking for weaknesses, searching for any vulnerability they could exploit. They found nothing they could use. Every system had redundancies. Every weapon had backup power. Every defensive platform was positioned to cover every other platform. It was a network with no weak points, a fortress with no gates. One alien commander made a decision. If they could not find a weakness, they would create one. His fleet split into 3 groups, each one targeting a different defensive platform. The theory was simple. Earth could not defend everywhere at once. If they hit hard enough, fast enough, they could break through somewhere. They opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams, missiles, kinetic weapons, exotic radiation that could burn through most known materials. The barrage was incredible, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The defensive platforms simply absorbed it. Their shields, created using dimensional technology that folded attacks into parallel realities, made them nearly invulnerable. The alien weapons were striking the platforms, but the energy was going somewhere else, somewhere the aliens could not reach or affect. "Return fire," Taiyang ordered. "Disable their weapons but leave their ships functional." The defensive platforms responded. Beams of focused gravity struck alien ships with surgical precision. Weapon emplacements were crushed or torn away. Gun ports were sealed shut by metal that had been melted and fused. Missile tubes were imploded. Within minutes, the alien fleet had lost nearly all of its offensive capability. But they kept coming. These were warrior cultures. They did not know how to stop fighting. The other alien fleet tried something different. They released thousands of small drones, each one armed with a simple explosive. The idea was to overwhelm Earth's defenses with sheer numbers, to create so many targets that something would get through. Dr. Minji activated one of her favorite systems, something she called the Harvester. Hidden in the asteroid belt, it looked like nothing more than another rock, but when it activated, it released a swarm of nanomachines, billions of microscopic robots that could disassemble matter at the molecular level. The nanomachines spread out like a cloud, moving faster than any conventional weapon could track. They reached the alien drones and went to work. In seconds, the drones were coming apart, reduced to their component atoms. The cloud of nanomachines grew larger as it consumed more material, turning the alien weapons into more copies of itself. "Stop the harvester," Taiyang said sharply. "We don't need it consuming everything." Minji sent the shutdown signal. The nanomachines fell dormant and dispersed, becoming just another part of the dust and debris that floated through space. Engineer Youngsu was aboard one of the captured flagships now, studying their technology with wonder. These aliens had capabilities that humanity had not developed yet. Their faster-than-light drives worked on different principles than Earth's. Their shield generators were more compact. Their energy weapons were more efficient. "We can learn so much from this," he said to himself, running his scanners over an alien power core. Years of research just sitting here waiting for us. The darkness of space held secrets that most civilizations would never discover. Earth floated in that darkness, seemingly alone and vulnerable. Its lights flickered across the night side of the planet, showing cities and towns that appeared peaceful and unaware. Anyone looking at Earth from space would see a world that seemed simple, maybe even primitive. They would be wrong. Admiral Taiyang stood in the command center buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The facility had been built 60 years ago, carved into the seafloor and hidden from any scan that might come from above. He was 73 years old now, his hair completely white, but his eyes were sharp and focused. He had spent 3 decades preparing for this moment. Around him, dozens of officers worked at their stations, monitoring screens that showed every corner of the solar system. On one of those screens, something changed. A signal appeared at the edge of the solar system, near the orbit of Neptune. Then another. Then 5 more. "Sir, we have contacts," Lieutenant Jiwan said from her tactical station. Her voice was calm, but Taiyang could hear the slight tension in it. 7 distinct signatures. They're dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Taiyang walked to her station and looked at the display. 7 fleets, each from a different alien civilization, had just arrived in human space. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. Someone had told them all to come here, to come now. "Are they detecting each other yet?" Taiyang asked. "Not yet, sir. They use different approach vectors. Give them 10 minutes, maybe 15. Taiyang nodded. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. 3 years ago, Earth intelligence had planted a rumor across the galaxy. The rumor spoke of ancient artifacts hidden on Earth, weapons left behind by a civilization that had vanished millions of years ago. The rumor promised power beyond imagination to whoever claimed these artifacts first. The rumor was completely false. There were no artifacts. But the lie had worked perfectly. It had drawn out every aggressive species within 100 light years, every civilization that looked at other worlds and saw only resources to take. "Wake up, Dr. Minji," Taiyang said. "Tell her the guests have arrived." Across the facility, alarms began to sound. Not the loud, panicked alarms of an emergency, but the quiet, steady tones of a plan moving forward. Personnel moved to their battle stations with practiced efficiency. This was not chaos. This was preparation meeting opportunity. In orbit around Earth, what appeared to be simple communication satellites suddenly changed. Their outer shells fell away, revealing weapons platforms that had been disguised for years. On the moon, massive doors began to open in craters that people had thought were natural formations. Inside those craters, ships waited. Not small ships, but massive cruisers that had been built in secret over decades. Mars began to move. Not in its orbit, but turning on axis in a way that planets simply did not do, because Mars was not entirely a planet anymore. 30 years ago, humanity had hollowed out portions of the Red World and installed engines powerful enough to shift its position. Mars was Earth's final defense, a mobile fortress that could move to intercept anything threatening the homeworld. Captain Hyunwoo sat in the cockpit of his ship, holding position near Jupiter's moon Io. His vessel was small, built for speed and stealth rather than heavy combat. But what it lacked in size, it made up for in technology that would seem like magic to most species in the galaxy. "Captain, we're receiving the activation signal," his co-pilot said. "About time," Hyunwoo replied. He was younger than most commanders, only 38, but he had been chosen for this mission because of his ability to think fast and adapt to changing situations. "Power up all systems. Let's see what our visitors brought to the party." As his ship came alive around him, Hyunwoo checked the tactical display. 7 fleets, each containing between 20 and 50 ships. Some of the vessels were enormous, larger than anything humanity had ever built. They bristled with weapons that could crack planets and shields that could withstand the heart of a star. They would not be enough. Near Earth, Sora sat in a small diplomatic shuttle. She was only 26 years old, chosen as humanity's diplomatic liaison because of her ability to remain calm under pressure and her gift for languages. She had studied 17 alien languages in preparation for this moment. She wore a simple gray uniform with a white peace symbol on the shoulder. "Ambassador Sora, you are cleared for departure," the voice from Earth Control said in her ear. "Remember, you don't need to convince them of anything. You just need to try." "Understood," Sora replied. She guided her shuttle away from Earth, heading toward the nearest alien fleet. Her hands were steady on the controls, but her heart beat fast in her chest. She knew this was dangerous. She knew she might not come back. But someone had to try to talk first, to offer peace before violence became the only language spoken. The 7 alien fleets finally detected each other. Confusion spread through their command structures. Each fleet had believed they would be alone, that they would arrive to find a primitive world ripe for easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves in a crowded solar system, facing 6 rivals they had not expected. Communications burst between the fleets. Accusations flew. Each commander demanded the other's leave, claiming sole right to Earth and its supposed artifacts. Weapons powered up, shields activated. The aliens had come to conquer Earth, but first they would have to deal with each other. Tae-yang watched this unfold on his displays. He saw the alien fleets beginning to position themselves, saw them preparing for conflict with each other rather than with Earth. It was almost sad in a way. They had come so far, brought so much firepower, and they still did not understand what they faced. "Sir, Ambassador Sora is approaching the nearest fleet," Ji-won reported. "Good," Tae-yang said. "Let's see if any of them are smart enough to talk." But even as he said it, he knew the truth. These species had not come to talk. They had come to take. They had looked at humanity and seen weakness, seen opportunity, seen prey. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Dr. Minji arrived in the command center, still pulling on her uniform jacket. She was 41, with sharp features and eyes that never seemed to stop calculating. She had designed most of Earth's defensive systems, spending 15 years turning theoretical physics into practical weapons that bent the rules of reality itself. "Status?" she asked, moving to her station. "All systems are green," Tae-yang replied. "We're ready." "Then let's show them what humans can do," Minji said. Her fingers flew across her console, making final adjustments to systems that had been decades in the making. Sora's shuttle moved closer to the alien fleet. She opened communication channels, broadcasting messages of peace in multiple languages. She offered to talk, to negotiate, to find a solution that did not require violence. The aliens opened fire on each other instead, two fleets exchanging weapons fire over some territorial dispute. Sora tried to maneuver away, but a stray shot caught her shuttle. The small vessel exploded in a flash of light. In the command center, alarms screamed. Ji-won's hands clenched on her console. Tae-yang's expression did not change, but something cold settled in his eyes. "She's gone, sir," Ji-won whispered. Tae-yang was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice calm but carrying an edge that made everyone in the room straighten. "Activate Protocol Crimson. All defensive systems to full combat status. Show them what they've done. Show them what Earth really is." The war had begun. The space between the two fleets lit up with weapons fire. Carthene dreadnoughts launched massive plasma volleys that could vaporize mountains. Vrelian cruisers responded with missile swarms that numbered in the thousands. Nomathi bioships released organic fighters that moved like schools of fish through space. The battle was chaos, a storm of destruction that stretched across millions of kilometers. And through it all, the 50 human ships remained invisible, waiting. Captain Minho watched the tactical display from the bridge of the Indomitable. The Council forces were fighting well, but the Vrelians had numbers on their side. For every Vrelian ship destroyed, the Council lost 3. The math was simple and brutal. At this rate, the Council would lose. "Status on the quantum mines?" Minho asked. Lieutenant Jisoo checked her systems. "Deployed and armed. 3,000 mines scattered throughout the battlefield. The Vrelians have no idea they're there. Gravitic generators. Ready and positioned. We can activate them on your command. Drone status? All 25,000 drones are ready for deployment. We've updated their programming based on Vrelian countermeasures. They'll adapt faster this time." Minho nodded. "And the equalizer?" Engineer Hana's voice came through, tense. "Armed and ready, Captain. But I'm begging you, that weapon is—" "I know, Hana. Last resort only." He opened a channel to the entire human fleet. 50 ship captains looked back at him from his screen. Some were nervous. Some were excited. All of them were ready. "They think they know us," Minho said quietly. "They studied one battle and think they understand how humans fight. They're wrong. What they saw before was us being cautious. Today, they see what happens when humans decide to win at any cost. Execute Phase 1, the quantum mines activated." Across the battlefield, Vrelian ships suddenly found themselves surrounded by explosions. The mines used quantum entanglement to exist in multiple locations at once. They appeared next to Vrelian vessels, detonated, and disappeared before the enemy could even understand what was happening. Supreme War Master Korvath, commanding the Vrelian assault from his flagship, watched in confusion as his ships began taking damage from invisible sources. "What is attacking us?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir. The weapons appear and disappear instantly. Our sensors detect them only microseconds before impact. Deploy all countermeasures. Find the source." But there was no source to find. The mines existed in a quantum state, appearing only at the moment of attack. Vrelian sensors, designed to detect physical objects moving through space, were useless against weapons that bent the rules of reality. 50 Vrelian ships were destroyed or crippled in the first minute. Then the human ships decloaked. They appeared scattered throughout the Vrelian formation, exactly where they wanted to be. Before the enemy could react, 25,000 combat drones launched from their hidden bays. This time the drones were smarter. They had learned from the previous battle. The Vrelians activated their anti-drone countermeasures. Electromagnetic pulses swept through space. In the last battle, these pulses had destroyed hundreds of drones. This time the drones were ready. They had adapted their shielding. The pulses barely affected them. The drone swarms descended on the Vrelian fleet like locusts. They didn't just attack randomly. They coordinated through their shared AI network, focusing on specific targets, communications arrays, sensor systems, weapon mounts. Each drone knew exactly where to strike for maximum effect. Railguns fire at will, Minho ordered. 300 tungsten rounds launched simultaneously from the 50 human ships. At 0.3% of light speed, they were impossible to dodge and nearly impossible to stop. The Vrelian shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, did nothing against solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. 100 Vrelian ships exploded in the span of 10 seconds. The kinetic energy released was devastating. Some ships simply vaporized, others were torn apart, their hulls unable to withstand the force. Korvath watched his fleet being dismantled and felt something Vrelian warriors rarely experienced: fear. All ships target those 50 human vessels. Ignore everything else. Destroy them. 500 Vrelian ships turned their weapons toward the human fleet. Plasma bolts, missiles, and energy beams filled space, all aimed at the 50 small frigates that had caused so much destruction. Evasive maneuvers, Minho shouted. The human ships scattered like birds fleeing a predator. They moved with impossible precision, each pilot executing maneuvers practiced 1,000 times. They twisted and turned through the weapons fire, their smaller size and superior agility making them nearly impossible to hit. But there were too many weapons. Too many enemies. One human ship, the HSS Thunder, took a direct hit. Her shields failed. Her hull breached. Thunder is down, Jisoo reported. They're venting atmosphere. Life support failing. Minho felt his chest tighten. First casualties. Dispatch rescue drones. Get that crew out of there. But there was no time for rescue operations. The Vrelian fleet was pressing their advantage, converging on the human ships from all sides. Captain, we're surrounded, Commander Subin reported from his ship. They're herding us into a kill zone. Minho looked at the tactical display. Subin was right. The Vrelians had given up trying to hit individual human ships and were instead creating a sphere of overlapping fire. Anywhere the human ships moved, they would be hit by multiple weapons at once. Time to show them something new, Minho said. All ships activate gravitic shear generators. Across the fleet, 10 generators per ship powered up. 500 total. They were humanity's most experimental weapons, devices that could create localized tears in the fabric of space-time. The generators activated. Space itself screamed. Gravitational anomalies formed throughout the battlefield, creating currents and eddies in the void. Vrelian ships, massive and heavy, were pulled off course by the sudden gravitational forces. They collided with each other, unable to compensate. 3 Vrelian cruisers crashed together at high speed. Their shields collapsed. Their hulls crumpled like paper. The explosions created secondary damage, catching nearby ships in the blast radius. The kill zone formation broke apart. The Vrelian fleet lost cohesion as ships struggled to maintain position against the gravitational distortions. The human ships, smaller and more agile, slipped through the chaos unharmed. Railguns reloaded, Hana reported. Firing again. Another 300 tungsten rounds launched. Another 100 Vrelian ships died. The battlefield was a graveyard of wreckage and fire. The Council forces, seeing humanity's devastating attack, found renewed courage. Admiral Vorith led the Carthene dreadnoughts in a massive push, their heavy weapons tearing through Vrelian lines. The Nomathi bioships coordinated with human drones, creating a deadly dance of organic and mechanical death. The Pelthene energy cruisers timed their strikes to match human railgun volleys, maximizing damage. For the first time since the war began, the Council forces were winning. But Korvath was not finished. He had been saving his elite guard, 300 of his best ships, for a final assault. He ordered them forward in a suicide charge targeting the human fleet directly. All available ships ram those human vessels. We will not be defeated by these mammals. 300 Vrelian ships charged forward at maximum speed, ignoring all other targets. They didn't care about tactics or survival. They just wanted to destroy the humans who had humiliated them. Minho saw them coming. 300 ships in a concentrated formation, moving at ramming speed. The human fleet couldn't evade them all. Even with their superior agility, some human ships would be hit. More people would die. He made his decision. All ships, emergency jump to coordinates I'm transmitting. Get clear of the battle zone now. Sir, we can't abandon the Council forces. Jisoo protested. We're not abandoning anyone. Trust me. The 49 operational human ships jumped away, disappearing into faster-than-light space. The Vrelian suicide charge found nothing but empty space where their targets had been. But the Indomitable didn't jump. Minho had stayed behind. Captain, what are you doing? Hana shouted through the comm. Something I hope never to do again, Minho replied quietly. He opened a secure channel to Earth. Admiral Kwan appeared on his screen. Sir, requesting authorization to deploy the equalizer. Admiral Kwan's face was grim. How bad is it? 300 enemy ships in suicide formation. If they reach the Council lines, casualties will be catastrophic. I can stop them, but I need authorization. There was a pause that lasted only seconds but felt like hours. Then Admiral Kwan nodded. Authorization granted. May God forgive us. Minho closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened a ship-wide channel. All crew, this is the captain. Evacuate to escape pods immediately. This is not a drill. You have 90 seconds. Sir, what are you doing? Lieutenant Jisoo asked, her voice panicked. Following orders, Lieutenant. Now go, that's a direct order. Jisoo hesitated, then nodded. She ran for the escape pods with the rest of the crew. Within 80 seconds, the Indomitable was empty except for Captain Minho on the bridge. He powered up the equalizer. It was a device humanity had discovered by accident during experimental faster-than-light research. It could destabilize the exotic matter used in jump drives, creating a cascade effect. The Council considered weapons like this to be war crimes if used against civilian populations.